Bonjour everybody, bienvenue. Welcome back to Le Petit Château. It's lovely to have you back in the kitchen with me today. Today we're going to do what are known as little financiers. These are gorgeous little treats, and I'm telling you now, you will make a little batch and they will be gone. They are so delicious. Now, it's actually called a financier because it normally comes in the mould the shape of a little rectangle, and that is to resemble a bar of gold. And the beautiful traditional recipe is actually characterised what is known in French as beurre noisette. I'm sorry about my pronunciation, but basically it translates to like a hazelnut butter, and this is because the colour of the butter turns to a hazelnut colour. So it's just a little bit tricky to find the financier moulds, and some come in like a tray of 8 or the singular moulds and things like that. Today I'm actually going to use my Frian tray. There's 12 moulds in there, but I've also made them in a regular muffin pan. So if you've got your muffin pan, just go ahead and make them in that. They come out just the same. If you can get your hands on the financier pan, even better. So the star of the show in this recipe is, of course, the butter. Get yourself some good quality butter because it is, I guess, the flavour that will dominate, and of course some almond. And then with your garnishes, you can actually choose what you like. So you can just sprinkle them with some flaked almonds, or you can get a berry or two to pop in. You can cut up some pear, I've done that before. And yeah, it's really up to you how you want to garnish these. And I guess we can probably do another recipe to make these a little bit different as well, but this is really the base recipe that we'll use today. So I really need to get started because I really want to have one with my afternoon coffee, so let's do it. So before we start, let's go ahead and weigh all our ingredients. Just a little mention, I'm not going to preheat my oven just yet because we actually do need to rest the batter in the fridge for about an hour or so. So we'll put the oven on just before we sort of go ahead and pull them out and get them ready. Okay, so we're going to start by heating our butter in a saucepan on a medium heat. And then once it's melted, we'll sort of reduce that heat a little bit and just keep stirring it until it turns to what we want to look as like a hazelnut colour for the beurre noisette. And then we will remove it from the heat and just let it stand to cool a little bit. Smell that buttery goodness. I've just turned my light on so you can see that hazelnut colour now. So our butter is ready. I'm just going to put that through a strainer and we will let it sit in this bowl to cool. Beautiful beurre noisette, and it smells beautifully, almost nutty, very buttery creamy. It's divine, you'll love it. And it's a little hard to demonstrate with my lighting, but you can sort of see that hazelnut colour and you'll get a good indication when you reach that colour, and it happens over time, but then it happens very quickly. So towards the end it happens quite quickly. So remove it and put it through the strainer, and let's let it sit and go to our next stage. Okay, so we're moving on to the next step now, and I've just elevated my bowl so you can see a little bit. And what we're going to do is put our 50 grams of flour in the bowl through a sieve, and then we will add the icing sugar. It's 150 grams of icing sugar, and then finally we will add the 60 grams of almond meal. So let's go ahead and do that. So our flour, it's 50 grams of flour, and then we will add our 150 grams, of icing sugar, and just give that a bit of a sieve into the bowl. And now go ahead and add your almond flour or almond meal. The almond is probably the one that's left behind the most, and just keep doing that, get those ingredients through. Okay, so now that you've sieved all your ingredients in the bowl, you can now grab your whisk and just whisk that around to evenly distribute them. And then make a bit of a well in the center, a little sort of circle in the center. And so just adding our 3 egg whites into the center. So what you can do now that we've added our egg whites into the center, you can actually use a wooden spoon to do this. So you just have to do sort of circular motion continuously to incorporate all those dry ingredients in with the egg whites. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So now that you've beautifully incorporated the dry ingredients with the egg whites, we're going to now add our cooled, sort of slightly cooled butter, and we'll just add that in a little bit at a time and just sort of blend that into the mixture. Let's do it. So now that we've got our beautiful batter all mixed up and beautifully incorporated, what we're going to do now is place a bit of cling film, a bit of glad wrap if you've got some. I haven't thought of another way to do this, so glad wrap it is, I'm sorry. But basically we need to press the glad wrap down onto the batter and sort of up the side of the bowl to prevent any air getting in, so our batter doesn't dry out in the refrigerator. So let's do that. Okay, so we are going to rest this batter for about an hour in the refrigerator, and what we can do is we can probably prepare our next step, and you can go ahead and butter the molds in your tray that you're going to use, and have a think about what you might like to garnish your beautiful financiers with today. Sometimes it's just a matter of what's on hand. So today we're going to just use raspberries and blueberries. Unfortunately, again, they're not in season, so I've just got some from the freezer, and I'm literally going to probably only put one in. My absolute favorite is the flaked almonds on the top, so I'm going to sprinkle those on probably most of them. Don't know, maybe leave some off because I don't know if the kids love them. So while our batter is resting in the fridge, I thought we'd just go over a little bit more of the history of these beautiful financiers. And they actually originated back in the 17th century and were referred to then as visitadines. And this is because the Order of the Nuns, the Visitadine nuns, that's what they were known as, used to sell these, and back then they used to be the oval mould, and the Visitadine nuns basically were visiting nuns, so they would visit all the sick people. So the original recipe, I think they were more like just known as like a bit of an almond cake, and I think it sort of was a little bit lost over a bit of time, and then it was revived again by a boulangerie, a bakery, and they revived this recipe and actually started selling them into the rectangular Financier mould, and they would sell them in the financial district. So the boulangerie was actually situated in the financial sort of district near the stock exchange building. So hence the name Financier, in the shape of what looks like a gold bar, a little gold cake that looks like a gold bar. Very, very smart. And I guess all the businessmen at the time would go and buy these as a nice little treat. Clever, really. Let's get these into the molds and into the oven so we can have a nice little afternoon coffee and a little treat together. Yay! So we're going to pop them in the oven for 5 minutes at 200 degrees, and then after that we will turn them down to 180 degrees and we will leave them in for another 10 minutes or so. So it's a little bit unpredictable, my oven, so I'm just keeping a good eye on them, and they're just about ready, so let's get them out. Have some more rustic beauties. They look and smell absolutely amazing. So what we'll do is just leave them in the tin for about just a few minutes, just to let them settle before we transfer them to the cooling rack. They might be still a little bit warm.
Yum.
Miam miam. So it's all done now. We've got our beautiful treats now to try. I've got one with a raspberry in it and my favourite with the almonds on the top. And the kids have already demolished two. I told you they didn't last long. So I've got my afternoon coffee and I'm ready to take a lovely little try of these beautiful Financiers. Let's do it. Absolutely divine, my goodness, delicious, big time. I love how they are a little bit crispy on the outside and so beautifully textured in the center, and the little piece of fruit is just a little surprise. It's beautiful. I hope you love this recipe as much as we do, and I think we'll do a few more variations of the Financiers, because that's something we can do with this recipe as well, which is exciting. Okay guys, thanks so much for joining me. I look forward to having you join us with another delicious recipe, or catch us in some of our other videos, and I will see you again soon. Okay, au revoir, à bientôt, bye.